nights, we focused on people around Jesus' birth, Simeon and Anna, encountering Jesus and his parents in the temple. A few people knew what is going on. Something new is coming. A child is born with a mission. God has sent his Messiah as a little child. So now, today, we jump in the timeline. We dive into the situation when Jesus, according to the Gospel of John, begins his ministry as Messiah and does his first sign at the age of about 30. I think you remember the picture of the blackberry growing from the blossom to the mature berry. Likewise, Jesus grew up in Nazarene, Galilee, to an adult. According to the Gospel of Luke in chapter 2, which has the most information, we know a little bit about the time in between the birth and the 30 years. Luke chapter 2 verses 4 says, "He grew and became strong. He was filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was on him." And further on in verse 52, Jesus grew in wisdom and in favor with God and man. Besides the story of the 12-year-old Jesus in the temple, that's all. Luke has no further information, so does the other Gospels. In all likelihood, he was at home with his parents, working as a carpenter. He was part of the community in Nazareth. He joined discussions with the Torah teachers there, like it was custom. So Jesus had almost from 12 years to 30 years, 18 years of craftsman and theological education. And today's text is from the Gospel of John. John wrote his Gospel because he thought, in the other Gospels something is missing. I had to add some stories that are so important to emphasize Jesus is the Son of God. And so he wrote his Gospel. And today I read John 2, 1 to 11. The next day there was a wedding celebration in the village of Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the celebration. The wine supply ran out during the festivities, so Jesus' mother told him, "They have no more wine." "Dear woman, that's not our problem," Jesus replied. "My time has not yet come." But his mother told the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Standing nearby were 6 stone water jars used for Jewish ceremonial washing. Each could hold 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told the servants, "Fill the jars with water." When the jars had been filled, he said, "Now, dip some out and take it to the master of ceremonies." So the servants followed his instructions. When the master of ceremonies tasted the water that now was wine, not knowing where it had come from, he called the bridegroom over. "A host always serves the best wine first," he said. "Then, when everyone has had a lot to drink, he brings out the less expensive wine. But you have kept the best until now." This miraculous sign at Cana in Galilee was the first time Jesus revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The whole Gospel of John is organized around 7 astounding signs that reveal Jesus' identity and mission. The turning of water into wine is the first of them. And like many firsts in art or life, it sets the tone to what follows afterwards, introducing the major theme to come. John names them signs, not miracles, clues. They should catch the attention, drawing us towards what for John is the whole point: life with and in God. So the amazement about a sign can be for help to believe in God, but it's not the main point. You know, before this event, Jesus comes to his cousin, John, to be baptized. And at that occasion, Jesus is announced by John as the one to come for the sake of the world. Some people heard that. And then Jesus collects several men as his disciples. Within 3 days, he has 5 of them. Short time. It was perhaps the right time for them. And now Jesus, a still unknown rabbi, is on his way with a handful of men. The families of the wedding in Cana must have known this. Mary, Jesus, and his disciples are invited. It could be they arrived not at the first day of the ceremonies. It could be that they arrived later. So, the wine supply ran out during the festivities, and Jesus' mother told him they have no more wine. What is the role of Mary? Mary appears exactly twice in John's Gospel, in the scene at the outset of Jesus' public ministry and at the end, the foot of the cross. On both occasions, Jesus addresses her as woman. Martin Luther said Weib, but it's a formal address like man. And perhaps he could say, I'm not doing what you tell me to do. I'm an adult now. Man. The fact that Mary is concerned about the wine running low may mean the bride or groom is close relative. They know each other. In any case, in the ancient world, this kind of shortage was far more than a mere inconvenience. It was a shame or a loss of honor. Even when the people of the wedding were poor or ordinary people. Have you ever been to a really big wedding where the bride and groom don't know how many people are showing up? That's interesting. My husband and I wanted to have as many people as possible with us on our wedding day, so we booked a whole gymnasium festival, big thing, and invited a lot of people. Relatives, friends, precious people from our past and our present, people from church and colleagues, and also my whole home village. 50 inhabitants. We didn't know how many people would show up. Actually, most of the village people came. But in the afternoon, I was a bit worried about the cake and the other things. But the planning team did a great job. We had enough space in this hall and enough cakes. So, in an Oriental wedding, or even in an Indian wedding, the the celebration isn't only at one day. It was normal that the celebration lasts 7 days. And wine is considered there as essential mark of hospitality, not to mention a social lubricant for the joy of the occasion. Running out of wine would be a major embarrassment for the host family. And Mary, she knows that. She dares to take a step and talk to her son. And isn't it interesting to read? Jesus initially dismisses his mother's suggestion. How is this our problem? We are only the guests. But Mary, she dismisses his dismissal. The moment goes by in an instant, but it's nonetheless so funny. Mary sees something Jesus doesn't. And rather than argue with him, she simply turns to the servants and says, "Do whatever he tells you." What is it that Mary sees? Is she only concerned about the host family's reputation? I don't think so. All the Gospels show Mary as thoughtful, soft-hearted woman with a great trust in God's abilities. You can read in several times Mary thinks about the things she encountered, she heard. She memorized the things. And she knows this son of mine is called to a greater purpose. Does she probably in this dilemma see a golden opportunity for Jesus to inaugurate his ministry, gracefully emphasizing it's the right time for you to do that? Because she had thought about his mission for 30 years. In effect, Jesus says, the time isn't right. But Mary senses more. I think it's perfect. You know, Jesus doesn't want to be led by man. He wanted to be led by God. And so his answer was a bit rude, but I think he chose this to connect with God, to hear what he wants him to do. The other point is that wine in the ancient Hebrew prophets, for the ancient prophets, is a special symbol for restoration, and in particular for the ultimate restoration in the new area to come with the Messiah. It is the Son. The Messiah will bring joy and gladness. And this turning water into wine could surely be a big sign for the people. Yes, something new is coming. Perhaps Mary thought, yeah, I know how he should do it. Remember yourself in special situations when you pray for something. I see myself sometimes that I pray and I tell God what to do and how to do it. Because I thought it through, and the only way to solve this is how I think. But we can learn from Mary. She trusts Jesus, and she does not dictate anything to him, how he has to do things. She simply stays confident and steps back and tells the servant, do what he says. And then, as the story unfolds, an overwhelming amount of the finest wine appears midway through the festivities. 6 big jars, about 100 liters. That's much. Oh, an overflowing fullness of fine wine. You know, wine is something for festive moments and peaceful times. You can't grow wine in war times. It needs a lot of time, a lot of pampering that grows and to make it. It's a picture of a wonderful thing to cherish in community. And it's also a window through which we can glimpse the abundant life at the heart of Jesus' mission when he makes water into wine. That's precious. How did Jesus this? John doesn't mention anything. Jesus did the sign without a great fuss. We don't know how. We don't know how. And he does it in secret. This astonishing work is revealed to the servants when nobody's behind the scenes. So we can say Jesus begins his ministry. He goes public only to the servants here at the wedding. He turns purification water into wine. And this is the way for Jesus to emphasize, I bring God's joy and God's abundant life to you, as opposed to over-focusing on purity and following the law strictly, which is a common religious temptation we are also not spared from when we overdo it. The point is that abundant, joyful life through God is most important. Live through God, with God, in Him, each and every day. And Jesus begins this graceful thinking in His coming on the earth. 600 liters of fine wine are a sacramental glimpse of what Jesus later puts this way in John 10, verse 10. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly, overflowing. Some people think when I believe in God, it's a hard life. He's so strict on me, he has rules to hold on to. No. He has done everything for us. And he wants to give us life overflowing. With this first sign, Jesus declares the dawn of a new era of restoration. It was long promised. And now it is at hand. They can bring it. It's a foretaste of what this era will be like. And it's an encouragement to believe in this God who is love and who wants to give us so much. It will surprise. It will make glad. It will lift burdens. And it will overflow expected limitations. And its upshot will be joy, celebration, community. In a word, a great feast. Every church service is a feast. Every community can be festive. Is it too good to be true? Yes, we know the great feast isn't yet fully here and every time. But it's not only a dream. We live in an age of political uncertainty, global problems, worrisome wars, fire catastrophes, and so much more. So we may feel the absence of God's presence and the absence of a festive feeling. But the good news is that despite all appearances, this new area is coming. It is here. We can live it. It's so close. Jesus declares that we can literally see it, drink it, touch it, taste it. Now, here, and in our daily lives. In the midst of struggle, in the eye of the storm, we can have this peace, this joy, this celebration. And for John, that's the good news of the gospel. Jesus' first sign in Cana shows all of this, not by telling a big amount of words, but by tasting things. The people had a feeling that something is happening, they don't know how. And like this humble wedding, the celebrations we experienced, potlucks, dinner parties, other tangible moments of real community are snapshots of what the coming reign of God looks like. I cherish that. Be together, never stop being a heartwarming community, having a heart for each other, going ways together, praying for each other. Today I met a woman, a pastor's wife. I never saw her, but she was very ill half a year ago, and we at the pastor's breakfast meeting, we prayed a lot for her. And today I had the joy seeing her and meeting her, and I said, it's so good to see you. That's so good when we pray for someone we don't know, and then eventually the person stands in front of you. I was so happy to see her. The new time through Jesus isn't only for rich people, for wealthy people. It's the good news for everyone. The good news for the vulnerables, for the disinherited, the lowly servants at the modest weddings that run out of wine, the helpers, the people who think, I can't do it on my own. No. This is the good news. Jesus is there. Was it uncommon to start an important ministry at a wedding of ordinary people in a village somewhere in Galilee? Yes, sure it was. Like it was uncommon in 1894 to start a ministry in a train station in Berlin to protect and help alone traveling girls and women who looked for a job in the big city. In 1910, the two big churches in Germany together officially founded the so-called Bahnhofsmission. Until today, this ministry provides help for needy people, especially with handicaps of homeless people, travelers who lost their way, and much more. In Germany, this help is stationed at over 100 bigger train stations. The work is done by employed staff and a lot of volunteers. And I quote from the homepage from the Bahnhofsmission, even in the 130th year of its existence, the Bahnhofsmission bears witness to its vitality. Furthermore, it inspires people to be available to others. Through help without bureaucracy and even outside of normal office hours, it has strengthened and preserved life in many ways. In doing so, it defines itself to be a church at the train station, carried by the gospel as the joyful message. And something to drink obligatory. A glass of water, a cup of tea. I had the pleasure to be there on Thursday for a tour here in Stuttgart and see what these people are doing. It's very, very needed. Jesus' ministry starts in the midst of needy people, making his good news tangible. By this, he sets the way for his followers. As his people, we are invited because we are never isolated from the needs of the others around us. We are invited to do as Jesus did. There are so many big or small challenges and needs. In which one is Jesus calling you? Be sure when he calls you, he will provide his overflowing blessing and help. I close with the verse we heard already. From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. That's a promise, and we can count on that. Jesus started his ministry in Cana. Where do you start? Amen.